to have seen the autopsy report, to have seen the different evidence portions that have been collected, I trust our team.
Even more once he was assassinated.
Again, everyone always has to think there's more to the story. Well, sometimes there's not. I've seen the autopsy report. I've seen our case pulled together.
He did not go in for an autopsy. The death certificate was signed by the doctor at the hospital.
Something about this entire situation just doesn't sit right. The questions haven't slowed down. They've multiplied. And now people are asking something that's hard to ignore. Was Charlie Kirk cremated before an autopsy could even be done? Let's walk through this carefully. Erika Kirk has publicly said more than once that she personally read Charlie's autopsy report. That sounds clear, right? But then things took a strange turn. Dispatch audio connected to the day Charlie was fatally shot started circulating online, and in that audio, officials stated that no autopsy had actually been performed. That's where the confusion really started building. Now there's an additional claim gaining traction, that Charlie was cremated. And according to reports from an unnamed inside source, this decision may have been made quickly and possibly without consulting Charlie's parents. That detail alone has people raising their eyebrows. To be fair, families handle arrangements differently after a tragedy. Some choose burial, some choose cremation, and some keep details private. That part by itself isn't unusual. But when you combine that with earlier statements about an autopsy that may not have happened, it starts to feel inconsistent.
Yahoo just publicly asked for Charlie Kirk's autopsy to never be revealed. Now, I'm not really sure why he would want to do this, guys. Like, probably no reason. He probably just doesn't want people to see, like, something maybe only his family can see, right, guys?
Let's rewind. First, there were questions about the crime scene. Reports say no bullet was ever recovered. Then people reviewing video footage began pointing out what they believe are inconsistencies in the narrative about the type of round used. Some online observers argue that based on the footage, the situation doesn't appear to match the initial description. Now, whether that analysis holds weight is something investigators would ultimately determine. But the speculation hasn't stopped. Then comes the autopsy issue. Erika publicly maintained that she had read the report herself. But if no autopsy was conducted, as the dispatch audio suggests, what report was she referring to? That's the question many people keep circling back to. And it's not being asked quietly either. From a public perception standpoint, contradictions like that tend to stick. Even small inconsistencies can open the door to much bigger doubts. That's just how the internet works. Once people feel like details aren't lining up, they start digging. And here's where it gets even more complicated. It has now been over 5 months since Charlie Kirk's passing, yet there is still no confirmed public information about where he was laid to rest. Now, that alone is not unusual. Many families of high-profile figures choose to keep burial locations private for security and privacy reasons. That's understandable. It's a personal decision. But when you stack everything together, the confusion about the autopsy, the cremation claims, the crime scene questions, it creates an atmosphere where people feel like they're missing pieces of the puzzle.
Do you believe that Tyler Robinson, your husband?
Yes, I do.
Why do you think it is so hard for so many people to believe that reality?
Because it's too simple. Again, everyone always has to think there's more to the story. Well, sometimes there's not. I've seen the autopsy report. I've seen our case pulled together. I've been in constant contact with our lawyers, the prosecuting team. I've seen it all.
Some are asking if everything was handled properly and transparently. Why are there so many unanswered questions? Why does each new detail seem to contradict the last one? It's important to be clear here. Speculation online does not equal proof. There has been no official public confirmation that anything improper occurred. These are questions being raised based on reported inconsistencies, not verified findings. Still, perception matters, and right now, perception is driving the conversation. There's also another layer people have been discussing. Reports suggest that on the day Charlie was fatally shot, Erika's whereabouts and actions have been a topic of online scrutiny. Again, nothing has been formally confirmed as wrongdoing, but when timelines aren't crystal clear, people naturally begin connecting dots, sometimes fairly, sometimes prematurely. And that's where this situation stands today. A tragedy followed by unanswered questions. public statements that don't seem to align with leaked audio, allegations about cremation decisions, silence around final arrangements, and a growing group of observers who feel like something isn't adding up.
So I did do the request. They emailed me back. He did not go in for an autopsy. The death certificate was signed by the doctor at the hospital.
Oh, okay. Can you just do a clip documenting that?
I'm sorry, 10-9?
Can you just add a step to the case documenting that there was no autopsy? And
287, I'll be clear to the hospital.
Reasons unknown. What about Timpanogos Regional Hospital, the hospital where Charlie Kirk was declared dead? Well, there's pretty much no interest in Timpanogos Regional Hospital in the state of Israel because why would there be? Except this spike that happened about a month before Charlie Kirk's death. That is very odd.
Whether those concerns are rooted in misunderstanding, incomplete information, or something more significant is something only verified investigations can determine. But one thing is certain, the conversation is far from over. Right now, people aren't just grieving what happened. They're trying to understand it. And until the details are clearer, the speculation isn't likely to fade anytime soon. Here's where things start getting even more complicated. When a family asks for privacy after a tragedy, most people understand that. Grief is personal. Arrangements are personal. But when earlier statements don't seem to line up, that privacy begins to feel different to some observers. Back in December, during a CBS town hall interview, Erika Kirk stated that she personally read Charlie's autopsy report and concluded there was nothing suspicious in it. That sounded definitive, clear, settled. But then the leaked dispatch audio from September 10th started making the rounds. In that recording, a man's voice can be heard saying that Charlie did not undergo an autopsy and that the death certificate was signed by the hospital physician. That immediately created a clash between two narratives. Now, to be fair, leaked audio can be misunderstood. Context matters. It's possible there are explanations the public hasn't heard, but the contradiction is what keeps people talking. Because in a high-profile fatal shooting involving a nationally known figure, many assume an autopsy would be standard procedure. It's often seen as part of the formal process. That's why the idea that one may not have occurred raised eyebrows online.
Straight to jail, straight to jail. For questioning at least, Erica. Look, I have seen enough, ladies and gentlemen. I've seen enough. Erika Kirk should be dragged into a police precinct for questioning. Like I said, you can show me the person who disagrees with me on that after I will reveal to you what we can now confirm.
Let's consider another angle. If the dispatch audio was inaccurate and an autopsy did happen, Erika has said she read the final report herself. In that case, some people argue that releasing it publicly could calm speculation. It could provide clarity, it could answer lingering doubts, and yet nearly 6 months later, no official autopsy report has been made public. Again, families are not required to release private medical documents. That's important to remember. But in high-profile cases, the lack of transparency often fuels more theories instead of quieting them. And that's not the only question floating around. There has also been discussion about the ballistics evidence. As of now, there has been no publicly detailed ballistics report that clearly outlines how the recovered rifle was tied to the fatal shot. That doesn't mean such evidence doesn't exist. It simply means the public hasn't seen a detailed breakdown. In situations like this, when key forensic details aren't publicly explained, speculation tends to grow. Now let's get to the newest claim that's been gaining traction: the allegation that Charlie was cremated very quickly after his passing. According to online discussions and unnamed sources, the decision to cremate may have happened almost immediately. If true, that timing is what has people talking. Because once cremation takes place, the possibility of conducting a later independent autopsy is essentially off the table. Again, this is based on reports and commentary, not confirmed official findings. Here's what we do know about the timeline. Charlie was taken to Timpanogos Regional Hospital in Utah after being shot. Doctors were unable to save him. Less than 24 hours later, his casket was flown from Utah to Arizona aboard Air Force 2, with Usha Vance accompanying Erika.
There's Erika Kirk, the blonde right there, with the sunglasses coming off the plane. Behind her are the Vances right there. That is Air Force, though, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah.
I could not see from our image if the flag was on.
That rapid transfer stood out to many observers. In high-profile cases, there's often an extended forensic process before final arrangements move forward, but timelines can vary depending on circumstances and legal determinations. Still, when people piece together the sequence, questions about whether an autopsy happened, uncertainty about ballistics details, and now allegations about swift cremation, it creates a narrative that feels unfinished to some. None of this proves wrongdoing. That needs to be clear. There has been no official confirmation that procedures were mishandled, but perception is powerful. When public statements and leaked information don't appear to match, trust becomes fragile. Right now, the biggest issue isn't just what happened, it's what hasn't been clarified. And until there's more concrete information, whether that's documentation, official reports, or a detailed explanation, the questions are likely to continue circulating. Because in high-profile cases like this, silence doesn't end speculation, it amplifies it. There's another layer to this story that people can't seem to ignore. In cases involving fatal shootings, especially ones tied to high-profile figures, autopsies are typically detailed and time-consuming. Even preliminary findings usually require careful documentation. Forensic teams don't just glance over injuries, they measure, photograph, collect samples, and record everything thoroughly. That process doesn't usually wrap up overnight. So when people look at how quickly Charlie's body was transported, it raises eyebrows. The speed of it all stands out. Some observers argue that either the autopsy process was extremely fast or it may not have happened at all. That's where speculation starts building momentum. In many homicide investigations, agencies like the FBI and the local medical examiner coordinate closely. Bodies often remain under controlled supervision while every forensic step is completed. In high-profile cases, multiple agencies can spend days documenting scenes, reviewing evidence, and ensuring procedures are airtight. That's why some are asking, why was Charlie's body moved so quickly? And why did the entire process appear so organized and immediate? Now, to be fair, there could be explanations. Security concerns, family wishes, logistical arrangements, all of those can play a role. But when timelines move faster than expected, it naturally triggers questions. And then things take another turn. According to online chatter and unnamed insiders, there are claims that Erika ordered Charlie to be cremated almost immediately. If that's accurate, it would mean there would be no opportunity for any future independent examination. Again, that's an allegation circulating online, not a confirmed official statement. But the internet didn't stop there. After Erika posted a video on Instagram that appeared to show Charlie's hands, some viewers began dissecting it frame by frame. A few commentators pointed out that the skin tone looked slightly off to them.
May not know about how a decedent is positioned in a casket. The head is tilted 15 degrees to the right, meaning that the nose should line up with the right big toe. Traditionally, hands are placed with left over right to show a wedding band. That's your fun.
Others mentioned the positioning of the hands seemed unusual, and some questioned why there was no visible wedding band. It's important to say this clearly. Online analysis of videos can be misleading. Lighting, filters, compression, and camera angles can distort details easily. Still, once people begin analyzing small visual elements, theories multiply fast. When you stack all of that together, questions about autopsy timing, the rapid transport, cremation rumors, and social media scrutiny, it creates an atmosphere where people feel like something isn't fully explained. And then there's the ballistics discussion. Some independent commentators and former law enforcement voices have publicly questioned whether the official explanation aligns perfectly with what can be seen in available footage. Again, these are opinions, not verified conclusions, but they've added fuel to the ongoing debate. Candace Owens recently shared additional footage, reportedly captured from a camera positioned behind Charlie at the moment he was struck. In that clip, his neck area is visible. Some viewers claim they don't see what they would expect if he had been hit from a long distance with the type of rifle officials described. Now, ballistic science is highly technical. Wound characteristics can vary depending on angle, distance, bullet type, and countless other factors. Without access to complete forensic reports, it's impossible for the public to draw definitive conclusions, but perception doesn't wait for full reports. When people hear that a .30-06 caliber rifle was allegedly used from roughly 200 yards away, they imagine significant visible trauma. And when the footage doesn't clearly show what they expect, that disconnect becomes a talking point. Again, none of this proves that official accounts are incorrect. It highlights that incomplete public information leaves room for interpretation, and that's really what's driving the conversation right now. It's not just one question, it's a stack of them. The speed of the body's transport, the uncertainty around the autopsy, the cremation claims, the visual details in social media footage, the ballistics debate. Individually, each might have a reasonable explanation. Together, they form a cloud of doubt for some observers. Until detailed forensic documentation is publicly clarified, if it ever is, these discussions aren't likely to disappear. Because when high-profile cases move quickly and quietly, the public doesn't stop asking questions. They start asking more of them. Now, here's where the debate really heats up. Several firearms analysts and independent experts have publicly demonstrated what typically happens when a .30-06 rifle is fired from long distance. In controlled tests, that type of round carries serious force. It's designed for impact and penetration. So critics are asking, how does something powerful enough to damage solid surfaces strike a human neck and not show the kind of visible trauma people expect? That's the core of the argument circulating online. Some commentators even brought up that strange Superman neck explanation that made the rounds shortly after the incident. The idea suggested that Charlie's neck somehow absorbed or stopped the round in a way that didn't align with typical ballistic behavior. Turning Point spokesperson Andrew Colvett reportedly attributed that statement to the surgeon who tried to save Charlie. But here's where it gets complicated. According to Candace Owens, that Superman comparison actually originated from Erika herself.
Like, he was the one who issued that tweet and quoted the surgeon. I then told you that the surgeon never said that. That was not a quote from the surgeon. What I didn't tell you was that according to my source, which I trust very much, the person that was on that phone that said that quote was actually Erika.
If that's accurate, it raises a simple question. Why frame it that way in the first place? Because once you introduce an exaggerated explanation like that, it shifts the focus. Instead of people analyzing forensic details, they're debating a dramatic phrase. It becomes a distraction point. Now, to be clear, trauma cases can vary significantly. Bullet trajectory, distance, angle, tissue resistance, all of those variables matter. Without full forensic documentation, no one outside the official investigation can claim absolute certainty. But skepticism grows when explanations sound more theatrical than technical. And that's not the only area where critics say things don't add up. Some observers have pointed out what they describe as delayed reactions in available footage. Others mention what they believe appears to be a lower amount of visible blood than they would expect in that type of injury. There are also questions about the initial movements and actions of Charlie's security team in the immediate aftermath. Now again, perception can be misleading. Video quality, camera angles, compression, and lighting can distort reality. Emergency responses can look chaotic or even frozen depending on perspective. But when multiple viewers independently raise similar questions, the conversation grows louder. The issue here isn't just one detail, it's the stacking effect. Ballistics that some experts say seem inconsistent, a Superman neck explanation that sounds more like a headline than medical terminology, uncertainty around autopsy reports, rapid transportation of the body, cremation rumors, footage details that don't match public expectations. When people line all of that up side by side, they begin to feel like the official narrative isn't fully satisfying their questions. Some online voices have even used the term gaslighting, suggesting that the public is being encouraged to doubt their own observations. That's a strong accusation, and it's important not to treat it as fact. But the frustration behind it reflects a larger issue: trust. Once trust starts to wobble, every detail gets scrutinized more intensely. Erika Kirk has already faced criticism for past inconsistencies, including statements about Charlie's autopsy and elements of her personal history that have been debated online. Because of that, some people say they're hesitant to accept explanations at face value. However, it's equally important to recognize that public perception doesn't automatically equal proof of deception. High-profile cases often involve limited public disclosure, especially when investigations are ongoing or when security concerns are involved. Still, transparency tends to calm speculation. And right now, many observers feel like transparency is exactly what's missing.
He was not messaging people the day before saying, I'm going to be murdered.
Andrew Colbert is the person who received a text message from Charlie Kirk saying they're going to kill me.
He wrote me this, please pray for me. Quote, I know they want me dead.
I've seen the autopsy report.
He did not go in for an autopsy. The death certificate was signed by the doctor at the hospital.
I wouldn't want to be you and be caught up in lying right now.
And I want to get on the Egyptian plane thing.
Not Charlie, but Erica was the one being tracked by these planes. 68 overlaps with Erica's documented locations.
All those places they said I've traveled, I've never been.
These are all the instances.
You really think I'm going to be on an Egyptian plane while I am wanting to be with my In-N-Out burger and my chocolate milkshake? No.
Oh, Erika Kirk shuts down. No, she didn't even respond.
Stop.
I forgive him.
I could have never forgiven Tyler Robinson. I don't even think it's the person that killed Charlie Kirk.
You think they've caught your husband's killer?
I trust our team.
They were like back on their feet the next day.
So many amazing things down the pipeline. I am so excited.
Watching these snakes. Oh.
Everyone grieves differently.
He said, if I tell you the true prophecy that I know in my gut, I am not sure if I will live to see the end of this revolution.
He didn't say that.
I believe you were the piece that God meant me to meet that will finish the fight.
This is not okay. It's not healthy.
The moment that Charlie got shot, I just knew he was betrayed.
My message to them is to stop. To stop.
I will be an enemy of you.
Excuse me.
This entire situation sits in that uncomfortable space between official statements and public doubt. On one side, there's the narrative provided by authorities and close associates. On the other side, there are analysts, commentators, and viewers who believe their own eyes are telling them something different. Until detailed forensic reports, medical documentation, or comprehensive investigative findings are fully clarified, if they ever are, that tension is likely to remain. Because once people start questioning what they're being told, they don't just move on. They keep watching, they keep analyzing, and they keep asking why the pieces don't seem to fit. At this stage, a lot of people feel like they're left in the dark. The questions haven't slowed down, they've multiplied. And the more details that surface, the more some observers start wondering what else hasn't been fully explained. When timelines feel rushed, when statements appear to shift, and when official explanations don't seem to match what viewers think they're seeing, it naturally creates tension. That doesn't automatically mean there's deception, but it does mean trust becomes fragile. Right now, some critics believe pieces of the story may have been carefully framed. They argue that when information is delivered in small portions, or when certain documents aren't made public, it shapes how people interpret events. And once a narrative is established, it can be difficult to challenge it, especially if the full picture isn't available to everyone. But here's the key thing. Questioning inconsistencies isn't the same as making accusations. It's about asking for clarity. When details don't line up perfectly, people notice. When explanations feel incomplete, people talk. That's not conspiracy thinking. That's human nature. At the same time, it's important to stay grounded. Not every unanswered question equals wrongdoing. Not every rumor holds weight. In high-profile cases, emotions run high and speculation spreads fast. The internet can amplify uncertainty in seconds. Still, transparency matters, consistency matters, and when public trust is involved, clear communication goes a long way. Some viewers feel like if you don't pause and think critically, you risk accepting a version of events without examining the gaps. Others believe authorities are handling the situation appropriately behind the scenes, even if every detail hasn't been released publicly. Both perspectives exist, and that's what makes this conversation so intense. At the end of the day, people don't want confusion. They want clarity. They want answers that feel solid. They want details that line up without forcing them to ignore what seems unusual. Whether more information eventually comes out or not, one thing is clear. This story has left a lasting impact. It sparked debate, divided opinions, and kept thousands of people watching closely for updates. And if there's one lesson here, it's this. Always stay curious, but stay balanced. Don't let headlines decide your thinking for you. Look at the facts available. Notice the inconsistencies, but also recognize the limits of what we truly know. This situation is still unfolding. And if history has taught us anything, it's that big stories often have layers we don't see at first glance. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to like this video, share it with someone who's been following the case, and subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. There's always more unfolding behind the scenes. And before you go, check out the next video popping up on your screen right now for more deep dives in celebrity drama. I'll see you in the next one.